Hello, Justin Bell here with the Bell Law Firm. Always a good day trying to help clients defend themselves against criminal charges. Today, I'd like to talk about probably one of the most intricate types of cases that many people find themselves having to deal with, and that's being charged with a DUI. A DUI is a very technical case. There's a lot of different parts to it. I'm going to try to go through every one of them step by step, and they don't all start like this, but usually they'll follow this type of path. So with that being said, I guess to pose the question, what do you want to do and what do you not want to do if you were stopped and you were investigated for a potential DUI? Okay, so let's go with the first thing. Let's say there's a stop. Okay, so an officer turns on his blue lights to pull you over. Okay, first thing, he's going to make contact with you, ask for your information. Hopefully you have everything already set and ready to go. Have your license, your insurance, your registration set there, because how many times I've heard them talk about someone fumbling. But the thing that someone needs to understand, I mean, even me, I know everything they're gonna do, okay? And but even when I get pulled over for speeding, I feel nervous. Every person's gonna feel nervous because you don't know. They can take you to jail. They take innocent people to jail all the time. Okay, so it's common to be nervous, and that they're going to try to use those things against you. So what you want to do first off, and I'm getting a little sidetracked, is make sure you have all these things ready, so you know exactly where they are. You don't have to look for it and search for it, feel anxious about that you can't find it. You're preparing ahead of time. Okay, so officer pulls you over. Hopefully this officer is going to identify why he pulled you over. Now, if he doesn't tell you it was for your speeding or you rode through this stop sign or you crossed over this line or you had this, the tag light. Now that one's a doozy, but anyways, you want to put on record, and usually everyone's going to be recording. These officers should be recording. There are some counties that don't. For example, Anderson County, they haven't been recording for since early 2022. So not everybody, every agency in Anderson County, but Anderson County itself, they haven't been recording for quite some time. But anyways, for the most part, these officers, they are going to have recordings going. They'll have a dash recording in their car, and usually they'll have a vest cam on as well. So that's why I say, if the officer doesn't give you the reason as to why he made a stop, because they have to have a valid reason to stop you, okay? Because that's considered a seizure. And if you don't have reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred, then that seizure is illegal. All right, so that's why you want to ask the officer why you stopped me if he doesn't volunteer that information on his own. Okay, so now if the officer does say that, let's say he says, well, I got you, you were speeding, blah blah blah. Okay, any questions that he's asking you that don't pertain to that speeding issue that he's brought up, you not want to answer those questions, okay? Those questions are designed to, one, get you incriminating answers, okay? That they start asking you where you're coming from, where you're going, all this stuff. No. Here is my rule. Whenever an officer is asking you questions that doesn't pertain to the situation, the reason he stopped you, the rule is my attorney has the answers to all your questions. You can call Justin Bell, and he'll deal with any questions that you may have. Okay. Now, one, that's a polite way to tell that officer, one, I know my rights, and I'm not going to participate in this questioning of what I'm doing and where I'm going. It's not relative to the reason you pulled me over, okay? And he's also going to be put on notice that you do have an attorney, and that by telling them your attorney has the answers to all their questions, that should end that questioning. Anyways, but it may not end their investigation, okay? So if that officer, if he starts asking you questions about, have you had anything to drink, or have you taken any medications or anything like that, or any type of other substances, you do not answer questions, certainly, to anything like that, okay? If, you know, some judges will take, if you said, hey, yeah, I had one drink earlier at dinner, okay, that's gonna be, he can use that as a basis to help support probable cause. You do not answer those questions. I'm not sitting here and telling you to lie to the officer. Just say, I don't answer the questions without my attorney being present, you know, and my attorney has the answers to all of your questions, so you can contact him, all right? That is invoking your right not to incriminate yourself, okay? So, and of course you do it in a polite manner. Now, they may ask you also, would you like to conduct these field sobriety tests so I can tell whether or not you're safe to drive? All right, well, two things you need to understand. One, an officer may say or ask you, do you want to participate in them? He may also act like he's going to implement them on his own authority, like that you don't have any say in it, okay? You need to understand you absolutely do have a say in whether or not you participate in these field sobriety tests, okay? And they're called standardized field sobriety tests. There are 3 standardized field sobriety tests, and they also have alternative tests that officers can implement. Here's the thing. These standardized field sobriety tests, what you need to understand, they're very difficult, okay? They are going to give you instructions while you're standing in compromising positions, okay? And they're not going to tell you what it is they're looking for, all right? So they're gonna give you instructions, and then they're going to look for particular clues that you don't know unless you have done some research on this, okay? So what I'm saying to you is that I call these tests athletic tests. They're very, very difficult. Whether you have anything in your system, I mean, I have to get into a athletic position, look at my knees and my legs, and to maintain a starting position on, say, the walk and turn test. And I can't be looking up and listening to this test that I've never heard before, because I'm going to fall out of that position, that starting position. They have you put your one foot in front of the other, touching heel to toe, with your arms down by your sides, and stand in that position until you're told to begin. Okay, and that's their instructions. But now they're going to go through these instructions, and they're going to demonstrate the parts of the test. Okay. All the while, you're standing in this very strange and weird position, and if you come out of that position, boom, that's the first clue. Now, you do one thing wrong throughout the rest of that test, that's 2 clues that they're looking for to support probable cause, okay? That's why these tests are so difficult, and what you need to understand is that they are not mandatory, they're not required, they're totally up to you. So, me, as an attorney, I'm always going to advise my clients, do not do these tests, okay? All it is doing is it's allowing that officer to gather additional additional evidence that they will use to support their probable cause or get a conviction from you later down the road, okay? And what they're doing is they could be using your own physical injuries, maladies, whatever, against you to support their contention that you were impaired. So, that leads us to the next step is, I always advise my clients is that you should have a personal story, okay? And I'm not saying make something up. I'm saying you should have it. If you have medical issues or injuries that you have either had previously or you're dealing with at that present time, okay, your personal story is to disclose those things to this officer, okay? When that officer said, would you like to do these tests? I said, no. Reason being is I've had a habitual back injury. I may have vertigo that I've been dealing with, and I'm afraid that you might try to use these medical issues or injuries against me to suggest that I'm impaired down the road to a judge or a jury. Okay, so, but by explaining this, like I said earlier, hopefully this is being recorded. That gives that judge or that jury a reason of why you're, opting out of these tests. It's not that you're trying to hide anything. It's that, one, you're aware that they're very difficult and that you don't believe that you would do very well because of your injuries, okay? And so what are they left with? All right, they're left with whatever they have as, the basis for you being pulled over, okay? There's indications that they do. Whatever they have while they've interacted with you, but they don't have anything else, okay? And now, should you refuse those tests? I'm gonna tell you, most of the officers are gonna go ahead and say, okay, well then you're under arrest, okay? And now, this is the critical thing, all right? Once you've been placed under arrest, they're gonna read you what's called the implied consent warning, okay? And that implied consent warning, it basically says that that you have been told that probable cause exists for your arrest, and that you're required to submit to a, let's say, a blood or a breath test, or be subject to losing your license. It's up to 1.5 years now. And are you willing to submit to this or not? Okay, so here's the critical thing. They're telling you that you're being advised that probable cause exists, okay? That's not true, okay? What they should be telling you is that they believe probable cause exists, but probable cause is not established by a police officer. It's determined by a judge during a preliminary hearing in General Sessions Court, okay? That's the first step. So whether or not they have probable cause does not mean just because that officer arrested you, okay? There's a lot of other factors that go into it, and that officer will, without having those field sobriety tests, he will have very limited amount of interaction with you to support probable cause. And that's where a skilled attorney is going to come in and attack that probable cause, okay? I don't care what happens regardless with the blood. All I care about is whether or not that officer had probable cause to arrest my client, okay? And whether that arrest was valid. Because if that arrest is determined to be invalid, then anything that comes after it is also invalid and will likely be suppressed. So that's why understanding what your rights are, what your obligations are in a DUI investigation is so important, and understanding that an arrest is much different than a conviction. Okay, hopefully this information is helpful. We'll see you next time.